Have you ever felt like the world around you is being shaped by forces you can't see? That decisions, opinions, and even emotions are being influenced in ways you never realized? It's not a conspiracy, it's psychology. For over a century, leaders, governments, and corporations have used proven tactics to control and manipulate the masses. Today, we're exposing 7 powerful psychological strategies used to influence the way people think, act, and believe. Stay with me until the end, because the final rule is the most dangerous of them all. If you want to understand the hidden forces shaping society, hit like and subscribe. You see, our brains, they're not these perfectly rational machines. We like to think we make decisions based on logic and reason, but that's not always the case, is it? Especially when we're talking about large groups of people. Crowds, masses, they don't operate on logic. They operate on emotion, fear, anger, excitement. These emotions, they're contagious. They spread like wildfire through a crowd, while calm, rational arguments, they're ignored. Think about it. Have you ever been swept up in the energy of a protest or felt a surge of fear watching a news report? That's not your logical mind at work, my friend. That's the primal emotional part of your brain taking over. And you know who else knows this? Those in power. News outlets, for example. They know that a fear-driven narrative will keep you glued to the screen, clicking on the next terrifying headline. Politicians use it too. They whip up fear and anger towards the other, whoever that may be, because they know it's easier to control a scared public than a rational one. So tactic number 1, control the emotional narrative. Because when emotions take over, reasoning disappears. Ever heard this one before? Repeat a lie often enough and it becomes the truth. Sounds familiar, right? Well, there's a reason for that. It's because it's true. Or at least it's true in the minds of those who hear it enough. See, our brains, they love shortcuts. And one of those shortcuts is believing something that's been repeated to us over and over again. It's just easier that way. We don't have time to fact check every little thing we hear, right? So, we start to accept repeated messages as true, whether they're actually true or not. This, my friends, is the foundation of propaganda. Think about those catchy political slogans, or those jingles from commercials you can't get out of your head. They're not selling you logic, they're selling you repetition. And let's not forget about the internet. Social media is a breeding ground for misinformation, and what's the key ingredient? You guessed it, repetition. The more you see that same false claim pop up in your feed, the more likely you are to start believing it. So, tactic number 2, repeat until it sticks. Because in the game of mass manipulation, the truth doesn't matter as much as how many times you can repeat the lie. We live in a world saturated with words, but here's the thing about words. They require effort. You have to read them, process them, think about them. Who has time for all that? Images, on the other hand, they bypass all that pesky critical thinking. They go straight for the gut. A single image can evoke a powerful emotional response in a way that words sometimes just can't. Think about the most recognizable brands in the world. Apple, Nike. What do you think of? Their products? Maybe. Or maybe, just maybe, you think of their logos. Those sleek, simple designs that have become synonymous with innovation, with aspiration, with a certain lifestyle. They're not selling you products, my friends. They're selling you emotions, and they're doing it through the power of visual symbols. And it's not just corporations, political movements, social justice causes, they all understand the power of a strong visual. A flag, a raised fist, a single photograph that captures the essence of a movement. These images, they transcend language barriers. They tap into something deeper, something primal, and they can be incredibly effective tools for shaping public opinion. So, tactic number 3, control the visuals, control the narrative. Because in a world of information overload, a picture really is worth 1,000 words. Chapter 4. We're taught to respect authority, right? To trust those who seem to know more than us. Doctors, scientists, experts with fancy titles. But here's the thing, authority can be faked, and often is. Think about it. Have you ever blindly trusted someone simply because they were wearing a lab coat? or because they had a string of letters after their name. We equate titles and appearances with credibility, even if there's no real substance behind them. It's why those 9 out of 10 dentists recommend commercials are so effective. They're banking on our inherent trust in authority figures, even if those authority figures are just actors getting paid to wear a white coat. And it's not just about appearances. The more power someone seems to have, the less likely we are to question them. CEOs, politicians, celebrities, we put them on pedestals and accept their pronouncements as gospel, even when they're spouting complete nonsense. This blind trust in authority is a powerful tool for manipulation. It shuts down critical thinking and creates a culture of unquestioning obedience. So, tactic number 4, cultivate an aura of authority and watch the masses fall in line, because when prestige speaks, doubt whispers. Chapter 5. Ever notice how crowds seem to have a mind of their own, like a single organism moving and reacting as one? Well, here's the thing. Every crowd needs a leader. Someone to guide them, to focus their energy, to tell them what to think, or do they? Here's the secret. True leaders, they don't tell people what to think. They tap into what people already feel and amplify it. They become a mirror, reflecting the desires and frustrations of the crowd back at them, but with more volume, more conviction, more charisma. Think about the most influential figures in history. They weren't necessarily the smartest or the most qualified, but they understood the hopes, the fears, the anger of the people they sought to lead. They channeled those emotions, gave them a voice, a direction. They didn't create the sentiment, they rode the wave. It's why a charismatic leader with a simple message can be more effective than a policy wonk with a 1,000-page plan. People don't follow ideas, they follow personalities. So, tactic number 5, become the embodiment of the crowd's desires. Don't try to change their minds, channel their emotions. Because a crowd without a leader is just a group of individuals. A crowd with a leader, that's a force to be reckoned with. Chapter 6. The world is a complicated place, wouldn't you agree? Full of nuance, ambiguity, shades of gray. But you know what crowds don't like? Complexity. Crowds crave certainty. Black and white answers. Good guys and bad guys. Simple solutions to complex problems. Think about it. Have you ever tried having a nuanced discussion about a controversial topic on social media? How'd that go? Probably not well, right? Because the internet, especially social media, thrives on simplification. Nuance is dead. Irony is dead. All that's left are hot takes, sweeping generalizations, and us versus them narratives. And you know who exploits this? Everyone from politicians to social media influencers to, yes, even corporations. They understand that the more certain they appear, the more believable they become. Doubt, questioning, critical thinking, these are the enemies of mass manipulation. Certainty, even if it's based on lies and half-truths, is a far more effective tool. So, tactic number 6, be confident, be absolute, be certain. Never admit fault, never acknowledge the other side. Because in the court of public opinion, conviction trumps truth. Chapter 7. Here's a hard truth. People don't always want the truth. In fact, sometimes they actively reject it. Why? Because the truth can be uncomfortable. It can challenge our beliefs, shatter our worldview, make us question everything we thought we knew. It's much easier, much more comforting, to cling to a comforting lie than to confront a harsh reality. And those who seek to control the masses, they understand this all too well. Think about it. Why do cults thrive? Why do conspiracy theories spread like wildfire? Why do people fall for obvious scams? Because they offer something that reality often doesn't. Simple answers, a sense of belonging, a scapegoat for all their problems. They offer an escape from the complexity and uncertainty of the real world and into a neat, orderly narrative where everything makes sense, even if that narrative is completely bonkers. The truth is messy, it's complicated, it rarely fits neatly into a 280-character tweet or a catchy slogan. And that's why it's so easily dismissed. So, tactic number 7, give the people what they want, not what they need. Weave a compelling narrative even if it's built on lies. Because in the battle between truth and illusion, illusion often has the upper hand. This knowledge isn't new. It was documented over 100 years ago in one of the most influential books on mass psychology. The Crowd, A Study of the Popular Mind by Gustave Le Bon, written in 1895. Understanding these tactics means you can protect yourself from manipulation. The question is, will you? What do you think? Are we living in a world shaped by these tactics? Drop a comment below, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into psychology and power.